everybody. It's a small request here. Today I wanted to show you these few interesting trinkets, objects, and a treasure that I've ended up with. They're not something to collect, but they hold a different type of meaning. Like this pocket watch. A small clock by a brand called Lucerne. Here I'm just winding it up. It's not a Rolex per se, but its value is in the story behind it. It's something called a birth year watch, and it was given to me by my aunt the year that I was born. And as you can maybe hear, there's still some power in it. I didn't know that it's still working, because I really didn't know how it works, but there is this winding power, and I think it's a pretty little watch. And the next object that we are going to talk about is this Agate, Agate. It's a mineral formation close to a diamond formation, and it's being cut and polished. Agates are these mineral clusters that have been formed through millennia, even millions of years. And then somehow they end up in the homes of hippies. This one has a nice pink hue inside of it, and you can really see it here in the bottom layers, but it's pretty much opaque on this cut and polished side. And I can't help but wonder that what if it was cut from a different point, and if it could still be done to it. I got this agate from a meaningful person in my history, and I feel like it's a nice thing to have. I'm not really into the magical powers of stones, but I do like the idea behind an object that's been forming in the earth for such a long time. And they can be very beautiful and aesthetic. Like artworks made by the earth. But now we will talk about this wonderful little thing that I ended up with. Here it says Kerho, tupakkatehdas, Kerho Oy. So it's an actual old cigarette box from somewhere between 1940 and 1949. We found it from the attic of our cabin. The cabin is in the island, and there used to be people living there before us. So someone just left this in their attic. And I still think it's hard to believe that this is even more than 80 years old. Could be as old as 85 years. And what do we have inside of it? A nice little floral motif. Maybe a cutout from a postcard or some sort of a magazine. Here we have a very clean cut of a Christmas elf. I'm not sure if it's cut or if it's a sticker, but it's Christmas themed elf with a sack full of Christmas toys. This one is a picture of Pinocchio. And these are all in nice colors. These colored pictures were quite rare back in the day. So this must have been a true treasure trove for a young child, maybe a girl. And why I say a girl is because one of these has a girl's name behind of them. Here's some more Christmas themed pictures. And looking at these things collected, I can't help but think of the movie Amélie and how Jean-Pierre Jeunet, the director of the film, showed this man's life through a similar box filled with little mementos from someone's childhood, and how looking at these mementos was like a key to the person's psyche. We can see what we have valued and wanted to keep safe for the years to come. And I don't know if this girl thought that someone would still have them safely intact 80 years later. Here's 2 children and a bird and some rowan berries. Birds like rowan berries and I like them too. I haven't really had them as a Finnish delicacy, but this Iranian woman gave me rowan berry dessert, which was delicious and sour and tart. Here we have 2 nice, maybe commercial pictures. This could be in a box of an oatmeal back in the day. All these fair haired Finnish pictures. And talking of a Finnish picture, this one looks like the view from our cabin. A very Finnish lakeside view. There's probably a mother and a child there. And more Christmas related pictures. Few more of these cutouts to go. Another thing I like to, or what comes to my mind when looking at this, is that in the world filled with plastic and stickers and a cornucopia of consumerism, these things were probably very rare and thus very meaningful. I'm not saying that something like this couldn't be meaningful nowadays, but maybe it's more about them being rare that sometimes makes them more valuable to us. At least I like the idea of rare things being more beautiful and valuable, because you can see it in words, in phenomena like semantic satiation, as well as overall consumerism and even psychology, that we end up desiring more of the things that we consume and we're not happy. Maybe sometimes we just need to have less to honor the things we have. I've noticed that this month, especially because I've been tight on money, and it has made me realize the priorities in life again, and trying to find peace in unfavored circumstances. Here it says Leenan, which means Leenas, and Leena is a Finnish woman's first name. Now we have all of them back in the box, and then the box gets closed. This was such a fascinating find. Maybe there's time for one more interesting object to show you. Very random, but here we have a pyramid. This pyramid I ended up getting from an exhibition. There was an exhibition by a Finnish sculptor called Harry Kivijärvi, who has made numerous sculptures in the golden era of Finnish art. meaning around 100 years ago. And Agate was fascinated by pyramids and how they were built. So he wrote a book about it and did some sculptures on the theme as well. There was an exhibition with different type of ideas of pyramids, and this was one of those kind of like mementos, a replicate in a store. And I quite like how this pyramid replicated all the, well, first of all the hieroglyphics, but also it didn't make it perfect, but the top is blunt and then there is a big piece missing purposefully. And so far I haven't found a place for this pyramid, but what I'm guessing what I want to do with it is to turn it into a symbolic piece in a ritualistic sense. I like these objects that we can impose meaning towards, because that's the beauty of being alive, that we are able to kind of like impose meaning on different objects. And maybe this pyramid could symbolize power and new beginnings. So with that, I hope you liked this little dive into this treasure trove, and see you in the next video.